I've noticed lately that my engine's been using too much fuel. It's been running a bit rich. I checked some of the other usual suspects, like the airflow meter and the temperature sensors, but it turned out to be the oxygen sensor, which took me a bit by surprise because I've only rebuilt this engine not long ago. I used the universal style, but it turns out they're not quite as universal as you'd expect. We'll talk about that in a sec. First, what is an oxygen sensor and what does it do? I'll show you. So what is it about the silver top engine that requires a special sensor? I found it's a combination of two things. The ECU itself employs a strategy to control the heater in the sensor that requires a powerful heater. It pulses the signal so you can control how much heating is applied. The black top itself just turns the thing on, so it's got more time to heat up. The other thing is, the location of the sensor is way back past the firewall, right near the catalytic converter. Many cars have it closer up to the engine so they're heated up directly by the hot exhaust gases. But seeing as there's over a metre worth of pipework between the engine and the sensor in these engines, the exhaust gases tend to cool down quite a lot, so they need a powerful heater to heat up the sensor again to work correctly. Alright, we're going to stick this thing in. I'll show you how to do it, and I'll show you one of the temporary fixes I did to help diagnose this problem. We'll get down under the car. As always, use axle stands. Never get under a car that's supported solely by a jack. If the jack collapses, it could kill you. Alright, we're under the car. You can see here where the oxygen sensor sits. Right back, the firewall's actually lined up about here. So it's just behind the firewall. You can see the amount of pipe all the way up to here, where the front of the engine is. This pipe here, these headers here are actually aftermarket. They're 4:1 tune length. The stock system, the 4 pipes join into one around about here. They join to 2, then to 1. And all the way back to here, it's a single pipe's got like a heat shield sort of insulation layer on it, which helps keep the exhaust gases hot. These are just stainless steel, so they don't do that, which sort of makes my problem a little bit worse. The oxygen sensor here, this is the one that I installed from the rebuild. As part of my diagnostics, you can see this little wire here that comes off the side. I've just put that under the nut there to ground it. That's the ground side of the heater that would normally go to the ECU to be controlled. To take the control away from the ECU and keep the sensor on all the time, I've just done this. The way it's wired up, the circuit, is actually, there's 12 volts always supplied to the sensor whenever the ignition is on. It goes through the EFI relay, which is what turns on the power to all the engine and the sensors when you turn the key. And then it goes through this ground wire to the ECU, then to the chassis of the car. So I've just bypassed the ECU. That is what helped me find out that this wasn't heating up, because when I did that, the sensor came good. Not 100%, but a lot better than when the ECU was controlling it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this sensor out, and we're going to put the next one in. 12mm socket, we'll get rid of this one. And then up here, in my last video I mentioned about using anti-seize, nickel-based anti-seize. This is one of those spots. Often these rust up. You can see how easy these came off because I've used the nickel-based anti-seize here. When you take yours out, before you put it back in, give the threads a clean with a wire brush, and then coat them in the anti-seize. And we'll just unplug this, and that's it. Out. Okay, so I've got the old one here and the new one here. You can see how black that is. That's all from the carbon deposits from the rich running conditions. That one's the new one. This one here is just a generic universal one. I've actually put that on from the old sensor before I did the rebuild. So there's joins inside here. This one here, this is a genuine Denso. You can see the body's thicker, just different design. And this one has the higher rated heater inside, so it'll get a lot hotter. The lead's longer just because it's a universal Toyota fitment, so it can be used in a lot of other cars like the four-wheel drives and the pickups and other sedans. So they've gone for the longest length and just sell that. I'll just coil it up and I'll just cable tie it out of the way. Alright, you can see here, the plugs, although they're the same shape, they've got slight differences around the outside. I've lined up the bottom section where the tab goes to lock it into place. You can see here, these 2 slots and 2 slots, and then here it's got 2 and 1. Toyota in their infinite wisdom make these changes so you can't swap parts between certain models. The sensor itself are completely compatible, the only difference is a plug. So what I'll have to do, I have to put this casing in place of this one. This is the old one, that's a new one. Remember, when you take the old sensor out, don't throw this away, because if you need it, you have to buy a new one from Toyota if you get rid of it. Swapping these plugs is actually pretty easy. You just get a set of point nose pliers and pull that white section out, which is what locks the tabs in place. Then you get your little flathead, and you can lever up the little tabs one by one and just pull the wires out. As long as you don't mix up the wire colours, the wire positions, the different colours, but don't mix up the wire positions, you'll be fine. You might be able to see right inside there. Pretty hard to see, but there's 4 little tabs, one for each pin. Generally what I do is I'll do one wire at a time. That way you can't mix it up. Just like that. One pin done. Rinse and repeat for 4 pins. So I'll put the new one in. It doesn't matter which way around it goes, just stick it in and bolt it up. Nice and easy. Calibrated forearms to the right torque setting. Make sure your socket or your spanner doesn't crack the body of the sensor, or you'll be up for a new sensor. Give it a bit of a coil so we can cable tie it, and straight in. And we're done. All we've got to do now is take it for a drive and see how it goes. I've been driving my car for a little bit with this new sensor, but I found it wasn't heating up quite enough. I found it was due to the uninsulated pipes and the fact that there's 4 times the surface area, being 4 pipes there rather than the stock single pipe. Just dissipating too much heat. So what I've done is I've put the heater wire that normally goes to the ECU under this bolt here with a lug, just to make it more permanent. It's what I did with the original heater in the sensor, so that I could diagnose a problem. I recommend that you do that if you have a problem with it staying lean, so it's not heating up enough. Just so that the heater in the sensor here just stays on all the time rather than being controlled by the ECU. It won't lessen the life of the sensor. It just means it's within its operating temperature range all the time and heats up really quick.